Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 13 Pros ended up actually coming out, and it's been actually 2 months, so I don't even know why I said it like that. And we're going to go ahead and compare it against the iPhone 10 in terms of the camera comparison side. Now, the way these things are set up, first of all, the iPhone 13 Pro has the better camera setup for sure, but I'm still surprised how well the iPhone 10's camera did in these comparisons that I've been doing. Now, the way they're set up, first of all, the iPhone 13 Pro has a wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto lens. The iPhone 10 does not have that ultra-wide sensor, but it does have a wide and telephoto lens, which is nice. On the front, you're definitely getting a much better camera setup on the iPhone 13 Pro because you can do 4K at 60 on the back and the front, where the iPhone 10 can only do 4K at 60 on the back. So you're definitely getting a much better and just more capable phone from the iPhone 13 Pro than the iPhone 10. Some other things to keep in mind, the 13 Pro does have cinematic mode and I think a better portrait mode overall than the iPhone 10, but the 10 still has portrait mode. It still has, a lot of capability there too. So I'm not just going to try to just say the 13 Pro is better in every single way. It is, but the iPhone 10 is still a pretty capable phone. Now the way this camera comparison works, I have the iPhone 10 photos on the left, I have the iPhone 13 Pro photos on the right, and you can look in the corners to make sure which one's which. Now this first photo, again, I tapped to focus on all the photos. I took these photos the exact same time, pretty much seconds within each other, and you can see that with the iPhone 13 Pro, first of all, zoomed out, I don't really see that big of a difference. I can definitely tell the 13 Pro looks a little bit better, just because I think that the sharpening colors a little bit, but with the iPhone 10, you can see that it doesn't look that bad. So if I zoom in here, one thing that I've been kind of seeing, if you look in this area right here, and you look at this area right here, just look at how much better it looks on the iPhone 13 Pro. It looks much more sharper, the colors pop up a little bit more, and that's one thing that I've been seeing with the iPhone 13 Pro camera, is the colors pop a little bit more than the older iPhones. So if we go and zoom into this little portion and this little portion, it looks like the iPhone 10 did a better job at blurring out the background, and if we go and look at this little flower down here, I definitely would say that it looks much better on the iPhone 13 Pro. The colors, again, just seem to pop a little bit more than the iPhone 10. I don't think it's a bad thing for the iPhone 10, but I think it's, you're definitely getting a much better camera setup, at least from this first photo in outdoor shots on the iPhone 13 Pro. Now this next photo, nothing super crazy. Again, I just took it of whatever this thing was right here, and I don't really see anything super crazy. It looks like that the iPhone 13 Pro didn't blur out the background as much as I would like to have had, and you can see that the 10 did a way better job of blurring out the background, which is very surprising. The 13 series, I've had very good experience with all of them, and this may have just been just one little camera mess up or something, but I did tap the focus and I waited until it took its best shot. Now around the post, nothing super crazy. I think you're getting a much more popular image on the iPhone 13 or on the iPhone 10 than on the iPhone 13 Pro in this specific case. Now this next photo I just took of the brick, I don't know, my voice just cracked there, and again, nothing crazy. You can definitely tell there's a little bit of a difference in terms of the colors. If we go and zoom in here, and if we go and zoom in here, it looks like there are of two different spots, but you can kind of see that the coloring of the bricks are a little bit, I guess, more red on the iPhone 13 Pro than on the iPhone 10, and I think that's kind of a good thing. When you have colors like this, I think the iPhone 10, when I think of iPhone 10 photo, looks like this. I don't even know what that means, but the iPhone 13 Pro camera I think definitely looks a little bit better, and the colors look a little bit more sharp. So that's one thing that I really do like about the iPhone 13 Pro. With the iPhone 10, I don't really think it looks bad, but I definitely, when you look them side by side, I think the 13 Pro is a little bit better here. Now this next photo, I literally went inside of the worst lighting conditions I could think of, and I just took the photo there, and it was of these fake flowers, and again, and there's a bunch of hair in it and everything, and I don't really think these photos are too good on either one of these to say hey, this one's way better, but some things I've been seeing, you can tell that the iPhone 13 Pro looks a little bit sharper, and there's a little bit more glare going on with the iPhone 10 camera, but also if we go and look in the bottom right corner here, and we go look at the bottom right corner here, it does look like the iPhone 13 Pro did a better job at least kind of distinguishing these colors and making them look a little bit less noisy. You can see on the iPhone 10, they are a little bit noisier, and although it's obvious the iPhone 10 camera is the older one, you can definitely tell that there's a little bit more grain going on with something like an iPhone 10 camera. So I took the same exact lighting condition photo in this next photo, and again, I just wanted to see if there were any differences. In this section right here, I couldn't really tell a big difference for some reason. I don't know why the iPhone 10s and all these photos focused here when I tap to focus on the other thing, but if we go and look all the way to the edge on this specific comfort zone little button thing, so if we zoom in here on this one, if we go all the way over here and we zoom into here, you can definitely tell that there's some big differences. Just look how much more noisier the photos are on the iPhone 10 than on the iPhone 13 Pro. And this is a massive thing. When you have bigger sensors like the iPhone 13 Pro, and you're going to have much better camera quality. So you're definitely getting, in my opinion, a much better camera quality sensor on the iPhone 13 Pro than on the iPhone 10. And just look at the text right here. I mean, you're definitely getting much better looking text on the iPhone 13 Pro than on the iPhone 10. So definitely for taking, zoomed in photos and all that stuff, you're definitely getting a better sensor on the iPhone 13 Pro without a doubt. Now this next photo I took, literally was right next to it, just some curtains. I don't really think it's anything super crazy, and I don't think we really learned too much from it, so we're going to skip it. Now this next photo is one of my favorite photos ever. So it took me a minute to tap to focus on the 13 Pro. The 13 Pro Max will not focus on, but you can see right here, immediately I think the 13 Pro wins. I mean, the colors look so much better and look so much smoother. With the iPhone 10, you can see with outdoor shots, it has had this problem before when we saw this in the first photo where it just kind of blows the stem out, or whatever this is, the light. It just blows this kind of out of proportion, so it just doesn't even it out. With the iPhone 13 Pro in the same, pretty much same lighting conditions, you can see that it doesn't do as bad of a job as the iPhone 10. The background, I think, looks pretty much the same on both. Actually, no, they don't. The iPhone 13 Pro looks much more red, like we've seen before on the 13 Pro when we were looking at the bricks. So like I mentioned, the colors look much more popping on the iPhone 13 Pro than on the iPhone 10. And that's something that I've been seeing time and time and time again. So when it comes down to both of these sensors, you're definitely getting a much better camera setup, I think, from the 13 Pro for sure in these outdoor conditions. Now next up, I took portrait mode photos on both, and this is something that I saw earlier. The iPhone 10 does not do portrait mode on animals, but for some reason it did blur out the background, which is kind of impressive. And you can see, I don't even have to zoom in, just look at the differences here. I cleaned out the iPhone 10 lens, by the way, so this was not like, it had crumbs and stuff and smudges all over it. They both were cleared out. And you can see that the iPhone 10 looks so much better. And this is something that I've been seeing time and time again. When you have a camera like the iPhone 13 and you have a camera like the iPhone 10 or the 13 Pro here, you're just getting much better popping colors. And the iPhone 13 Pro looks like a professional photo from like a DSLR here, where the iPhone 10 kind of looks like an iPhone 10 camera. So I didn't even have to zoom in for that. The iPhone 13 Pro camera was much better in this case, in my opinion. Now, this photo was nothing crazy. I just went ahead and just took a photo from all the lenses that they had. So this was them from the standard lenses. So they're pretty much from the same, area, so it doesn't matter. These were the photos zoomed in completely, and I think they pretty much zoomed in the same time or the same space. I think that, one doesn't zoom in more than the other one, at least it doesn't look like it. And this was both cameras zoomed out all the way. And you can see, again, you're getting much more image quality and just much more capability from that iPhone 13 Pro camera. I mean, look, this is both of these cameras zoomed out. Look at how much more you're able to get in a photo on the iPhone 13 Pro than on the iPhone 10. And that's because of that extra ultra-wide sensor, so that's a massive feature. Now finally, this is nothing crazy, I just went and took a photo of whatever this was. And one thing that I've been saying, and I want to direct your attention again to this corner here and to this corner here, you're able to see that for the most part, there is much more noise going on for the iPhone 10 photo, if you look like right here, than the iPhone 13 photo, which is right here, 13 Pro photo, which is right here. There's much more noise on the iPhone 10 photo. Now, I will tell you, if you kind of look over here, there seems to be more noise in this area on the iPhone 13 Pro than on the iPhone 10. So it's funny that these things are flip-flopping, but here's what I'll tell you about that. If you have to zoom in that much to see differences, like, it's really not that big of a difference. When it comes down to these photos and in outdoor conditions, when it comes down to like these photos in outdoor conditions, if you really don't care too much about like, the filtering and all that stuff, you can always, add some filters at the end of it and everything. But when it comes down to these, I'll probably tell you the iPhone 13 Pro is better, but the 10 is right behind it. And ultimately, I definitely do think that the iPhone 13 Pro camera is the better camera for sure. I mean, it has so much more capability, has everything you'd ever want in a camera, but the iPhone 10's camera is pretty okay. If you're somebody who just wants to get a camera and just quickly take Snapchat photos and things like that, then you're still going to have a really good experience on an iPhone 10, I think. It's definitely not going to be as capable, and it's definitely not going to be as great of an experience as the iPhone 13 Pro, but it's still going to have enough capability. And I definitely do think if you're somebody who wants to go pick up a phone, the 13 Pro is definitely the better one to pick up, but the iPhone 10 is not a bad option either, and you can't really go wrong with either one of these phones if I'm being honest. So definitely the 13 Pro is the better one. It's definitely better in every single area, but if you have the iPhone 10, it's not a problem for keeping it. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.